Acting can be a family tradition, but good looks, that's just genes. These celebrity grandchildren have uncanny resemblances to their famous forebears.
Along with Ringo Starr, Paul McCartney is one of 2 remaining members of the Beatles and is still, to this day, a legendary figure in the world of music. However, he's also a family man. In fact, the star seems to have a perfectly lovely relationship with his grandson, Arthur Donald, who happens to look a heck of a lot like his grandpa. Arthur is the son of Mary McCartney and her ex-husband, television producer Alastair Donald. He's also the grandson of Paul and the late Linda McCartney. Arthur was born April 3, 1999, making him the oldest of the music icon's 8 grandchildren. While it's likely that each member of the younger generation picked up a few characteristics from their granddad, it's Arthur who takes after Paul in the looks department. With a slightly round face and a sweet smile, Donald appears to look a lot like Paul McCartney did during his early days with the Beatles. The rock star's grandson even exudes the same casually cool vibe that his grandpa is famous for. Donald's good looks and famous roots would certainly give him a leg up if he wanted to pursue a career in show business, but this well-connected young man has decided to take a different path. While Paul McCartney sent his children to a simple local school in the hope they would have a normal life, his daughter Mary McCartney supposedly preferred a more private route for her son. Arthur Donald initially attended University College School in Hampstead, North London, and then moved to the United States to pursue an Ivy League education at Yale University in Connecticut. As a student at Yale, Donald reportedly paid a pretty penny, or should we say pound, for his degree. According to the Daily Mail, his previous school cost about £19,545 per year, which is around $25,500 But Yale's average tuition is much higher. The undergraduate price tag is about £54,500 per year, which includes academic fees, board, lodging, books, and personal expenses. Put that into US dollars, and we're talking about more than $71,000 annually. While Arthur Donald apparently likes to spend time with his famous grandfather Paul McCartney, he's also been spotted out and about with his mother, Mary McCartney. For instance, Donald watched a tennis match at Wimbledon with his mum by his side back in the summer of 2018, according to the Daily Mail. However, the Daily Mail was more focused on the resemblance between Donald and his grandfather, pointing out the fact that the musician's grandson showed up to the sporting event looking like a younger version of his famous granddad. As the outlet noted, with his curling top lip and striking eyebrows, it's pretty clear that the apple didn't fall far from the beetle tree.
Grace Kelly of Monaco was one of the most striking actresses of her day, and it seems like she's left behind a legacy that lives on in her granddaughter, Camille Gottlieb. The young royal has taken Instagram by storm and gathered hordes of new fans, many of whom have taken notice both of her uncanny resemblance to her late grandmother and her intriguing online presence. So how does Camille fit into the family tree? Well, she's not technically in the line of succession for the throne of Monaco because her parents weren't married. Her mother is Princess Stephanie of Monaco, Grace's youngest daughter, and her father was reportedly a palace guard named Jean-Raymond Gottlieb. According to Harper's Bazaar, Gottlieb isn't even on Camille's birth certificate, but Camille openly acknowledges him as her dad on social media. Camille also has 2 half-siblings from her mother's relationship and brief marriage to her former bodyguard, Daniel Ducrouet. Camille's sister is fashion designer Pauline Ducrouet, and her brother, Louis Ducrouet, is a talent scout for a soccer club. While Camille may never rule Monaco, she's certainly ruling the social media game and seems to possess the same remarkably regal features that defined her famous grandmother, who jumped from being an Oscar-winning American actress to a beloved European monarch back in 1956. Grace Kelly herself was undoubtedly a Hollywood legend. The American actress was born in Philadelphia and rose to fame in the 1950s, thanks in part to Alfred Hitchcock casting her in Dial M for Murder and Rear Window. She won an Academy Award for The Country Girl in 1955, but almost as quickly as she had risen to fame in Hollywood, the actress dashed off to Europe to become a princess. Her title, upon marrying Prince Rainier III, was Her Serene Highness Princess Grace of Monaco. But Grace wasn't just to become any old princess, forgotten in the dusty archives of a dwindling European dynasty. She essentially became the princess, and her elegant fashion and glamour became known around the world. In 1955, clothing companies even used her figure to create their mannequins.
Only because it's expected of her. It's right off the Paris plane. You think it'll sell?
And Grace's style remains influential today. According to People magazine, British royal Kate Middleton channeled Grace Kelly's style not just for her wedding dress, but on many other regal occasions as well, opting for lace and higher necklines. Sadly, Grace Kelly died of a car accident in 1982, but as her daughters and granddaughters grew up, fans of the iconic princess have marveled at the resemblance they bear to the Hollywood legend. These include Camille's mother, Princess Stephanie, who is the youngest of Princess Grace and Prince Rainier III's 3 children, and who also herself has enjoyed a career as a singer, swimwear designer, and fashion model. Camille is very aware of the similarity to her legendary grandmother, and is flattered when people compare her to Princess Grace. In an interview with Poir de Vue, she explained, "Every time my mother tells me about her, it's to say what an extraordinary woman and what an exemplary mother she was. While it must be tough living in the shadow of her famous grandmother, Camille Gottlieb has nonetheless carved out a fascinating life. In fact, without a throne to worry about, she was free to run off and join the circus. Literally." Camille traveled in a circus caravan from 2001 to 2004, while her mother was in a relationship with an elephant trainer. At the time, Camille's mother, Princess Stephanie, had taken an interest in theatre and rhythmic gymnastics. Camille clearly caught the travel bug too, because she reportedly ventured to Asia to work with baby tigers. While she boasts an impressive following on Instagram, this well-connected royal seems to enjoy staying out of the spotlight. She did, however, get behind the mission of Be Safe Monaco, a campaign against drunk driving that she founded after losing a friend in an accident. As she continues to grow up, it's likely the world will see much more of Camille Gottlieb and the remarkable face that has made her an Instagram star.
Like mother, like daughter. Or in this case, like grandmother, like granddaughter. While you likely already know that actress Goldie Hawn's children are following in their Hollywood mom's footsteps, you may not be aware of how much she has in common with one of her younger relatives, at least when it comes to physical appearance. Hawn's granddaughter Rio looks exactly like her famous grandmother. Hawn and little Rio aren't the only grand duo with a striking connection. American Horror Story actress Billie Lourd looks just like her grandmother, the late Debbie Reynolds. There's even Charlotte, Prince William and Kate Middleton's daughter, who looks just like a young Princess Diana. Around Christmas time 2019, Goldie Hawn shared a photo on Instagram spending quality time with her granddaughter Rio. She captioned the silly pic, "Christmas lunch in Aspen with a chip off the old block. Happy upside-down lunch to everyone everywhere." In the comments, someone wrote, "That little person looks exactly like you." Another fan added, quote, "Just like grandma. The apple really doesn't fall far from the tree. The little girl looks so much like her Oscar-winning grandma when it comes to their facial features." Back in June 2017, Hawn shared a photo with Rio in matching flower crowns. She captioned the adorable Instagram snapshot, "Me and my baby Rio, preschool graduation day. At last, I graduated." Fans called out the resemblance in the comment section. One person wrote, "Boy, does she look like a mini-me for you, Goldie. Such a cutie pie." Another added, "Rio is your double, Goldie." They're definitely not wrong. This famous family just keeps growing over the years. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days star Kate Hudson gave birth to her third child, a daughter named Ronnie Rose, with boyfriend Danny Fujikawa in October 2018. Hudson has 2 sons from previous relationships, Ryder Robinson and Bingham Hawn Bellamy. After Ronnie's birth, Goldie Hawn's longtime partner Kurt Russell told People she is the 6th of the grandchildren, Kate's first daughter. And along with the other 5 now, it is obviously a fantastic addition. And it will be fun just to watch her little eyes looking at the lights on the Christmas tree and taking it all in for the first time. Hawn isn't your typical grandma either. According to Closer Weekly, she's got a sweet nickname from her 6 grandchildren. A source told the magazine, "Goldie is the best glamma ever." She and Kate are super close, but Goldie and Kate's children, who all call her Go-Go, have a very special bond. Not only does Hawn physically resemble one of her grandkids, but she seems to love them all deeply, and they share a close connection. And that's much more important than anything surface level, isn't it? In 1986, the First Wives Club star told the Today Show, "You're creating 1, 2, 3 new people. You have a tremendous influence on these human beings, and these are people that you want and hopefully will contribute in some way and put some of the love back in the earth." Hawn continued, "This is what we do. This is what our job is as mothers. We create a good little soul, and he or she will pass that on to his or her friends and make an influence. And that's one way we can help make this world a better place."
I don't know that you help your children through words.
I think you help them through example.
And it sounds like two of her kids, Oliver and Kate Hudson, are doing exactly that in their own parenthood experiences. Hawn told Today years later in 2014, "Kurt and I are so proud. They're mirroring a lot of the way they were raised, and that just shows you how important it is to raise your kids well, because they will raise their kids well." Clearly, Hawn is passing on more than just her good genes and acting skills to her offspring. She's passing on her big heart.
Some celebrity parents and their kids basically look like twins, but when the family genes are particularly strong, you can even find kids who are the spitting images of their famous grandparents. Quinn Tivy, grandson of the late Elizabeth Taylor, is one of these people. The son of Taylor's daughter, Liza Todd, and artist Hap Tivy, Quinn was born in 1986 and grew up admiring his iconic grandmother.
I always knew her as Grandma, but in her real life, she was still larger than life.
Even though Quinn wasn't raised in Hollywood, Taylor would often bring her family there on holidays. While his grandmother might have lived a very different life from her grandson, however, there was one thing they obviously shared: their appearance. Famously, Elizabeth Taylor wasn't just known as an accomplished actress. She was also admired because of her good looks. In fact, to many, Taylor wasn't merely seen as Hollywood's leading light. Some people considered her the most beautiful woman in the world, while her grandson, Quinn Tivy, hasn't quite found the same level of fame as a result of his appearance. His looks do take after his grandmother's in more ways than one. For example, Tivy boasts the same beautiful crown of dark hair that his grandmother had, which frames his face's fair complexion and sharp features. And you can't ignore the eyes either. Taylor was famous for the striking color of her eyes, which often appeared to be violet in just the right light. While Tivy may not have his grandmother's purple-toned peepers, he certainly inherited the striking blue stare that his grandmother was known for. But good looks aren't the only thing the two have in common. They also share a love of film. Elizabeth Taylor made her film debut in One Born Every Minute and achieved worldwide stardom with 1944's National Velvet, before going on to win Academy Awards for her work in Butterfield 8 and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. While fans around the world loved watching the actress on the big screen, however, her grandson loved watching films with the actress by his side. In 2019, Tivy told The Hollywood Reporter, "We would lay in bed together, watching movies, chatting. She would give me advice. Those are some of the ways I remember her most." It seems like Taylor's advice may just have helped, especially about making it in the entertainment industry, seeing as how Tivy's resume is filled with acting and producing gigs. He also graduated with an MFA from the School of Visual Arts and works in New York as an artist. And while Taylor was likely proud of her grandson's professional accomplishments, she would also be touched by one other way that he's chosen to carry on her legacy. Elizabeth Taylor wasn't just an actress and an icon, she was also an activist, which is why in the 1980s, she used her fame to fight for a good cause. According to the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation, Taylor used her platform as a celebrity to raise awareness of HIV/AIDS and expose the injustice of society's attitude towards the disease. As a show of support, Taylor established the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation in 1991. Taylor's efforts raised hundreds of millions of dollars, helped change the hearts and minds of a generation, and saved countless lives. Taylor passed away in 2011, but Quinn Tivy has dedicated himself to carrying on her work. In 2016, he became the co-trustee for his grandmother's trust, which works behind the scenes of the foundation. During his appearance on The Morning Show, Tivy reaffirmed his belief in his grandmother's values.
And the voice and the values that she brought forth in her life is something that we're always trying to carry forth in our work and that inspire us every day.
To this day, Tivy continues to raise awareness, organize events, and speak publicly on behalf of his grandmother's AIDS Foundation. It's clear that Elizabeth Taylor's grandson didn't merely inherit her striking good looks, he also inherited her good heart, too.
Over the years, Jane Fonda has cemented her reputation as one of the most iconic actresses of all time, and rightly so.
I act like a big person everywhere else. I'm in charge of Los Angeles.
Among her many illustrious awards, the Hollywood star has 2 Oscars, 7 Golden Globes, and 1 Emmy to her name. Although she landed her first role in her early 20s, the legendary actress has continued to act well into her 80s, thanks in no small part to projects like Netflix's Grace and Frankie. This acclaimed dramatic comedy was renewed in 2019 for a 7th and final season, making it the streaming service's longest-running original show. Beyond her prolific body of work on screen, Fonda also happens to be an extremely passionate activist, and she's particularly passionate when it comes to fighting against climate change. She's even set about getting arrested on a weekly basis, a ritual that she likes to call Fire Drill Fridays, although it doesn't look like a drill to us. The actress's spirited activism has clearly inspired other younger members of her family tree, like her granddaughter, Viva Vadim. This young woman has even followed in Fonda's illustrious footsteps by getting arrested during a protest. Do you happen to see a family resemblance here? Well, we certainly do. According to Closer Weekly, Jane Fonda has 3 children: Vanessa Vadim, Troy Garrity, and Mary Williams. Vanessa gave birth to Viva back in 2002. In 2013, Viva accompanied Fonda to a glamorous 2013 red carpet event where the pair posed alongside comedian Jim Carrey. By the way, that event just so happened to be Fonda's hand and footprint ceremony at the TCL Chinese Theater. Clearly, this was an extremely important and formative day for Fonda. Taking to her official website, the actress mistily reflected on the experience, writing that, "It was special because I had my family with me. I am just getting to know Jim Carrey, but I have been a huge admirer of his forever, as has my granddaughter Viva. You should have seen her face when she turned in her seat at the start of the ceremony and saw him." One thing's for sure, Jane Fonda cares about her family a great deal, and she's incredibly supportive of her grandchildren. In an illuminating April 2016 interview with The Guardian, the 9 to 5 actress said, "I love being a grandmother, though I live further away from my grandchildren now and don't see them as much as I used to. What I hope for them is that they discover their passion, because the most wonderful thing in life is finding out what you want to do. I want them to learn that you don't always get your way in life, but that the important thing is not falling apart." We imagine that Fonda is passing on that well-earned wisdom to her loved ones, too. Although she's already fondly looking ahead to her grandkids' futures, the actress does feel a bit of remorse when it comes to her own parental skills and familial relationships. In March 2017, Fonda opened up to Net-a-Porter and made quite a candid confession to the publication. "I regret that I wasn't a better parent. I didn't know how to do it. But you can learn, so I studied how to be a parent. It's never too late. I am trying to make up for what I didn't know before. When I die, I want my family to be around me. I want them to love me, and I have to earn that. I'm still working at it." A few years prior, Fonda reflected on just how many similarities she and her daughter Vanessa Vadim share. In a 2013 post on her website, she wrote, "My daughter is very much like me in many ways and very different in many ways. She's brave, strong, exceedingly smart, cooks well, and is very creative. She's someone you'd want around in a crisis. We haven't always gotten along. I am not, by nature, particularly maternal." No matter what tough experiences she's endured in the past, it sounds like Fonda has finally mended things with her children. And as a result, it sounds like she's formed quite a sweet bond with her grandchildren, including Viva.
When Kirk Douglas passed away on February 5, 2020, at the age of 103, he left behind a lasting legacy that will be remembered by fans of his popular films and admirers of his good deeds. In addition to being a star of the big screen, the highly respected actor was also a devoted family man who will be missed by those who were closest to him. The Hollywood legend was the father of 4 sons, Joel, Peter, and Eric, who sadly passed away in 2004, as well as his most famous offspring, Michael Douglas. Kirk was also the grandfather of Michael's children, including Cameron Douglas. Cameron is the son of Michael and his first wife, Deandra Luker. And while he may not be the industry icon that his father is and his grandfather was, the younger Douglas does have something in common with his famous family members: their looks. While each man has his own particular characteristics and unique style, you'll be surprised by the ways Cameron takes after his beloved grandpa. Cameron Douglas has followed a very different path than the one that his father and grandfather walked before him. Like his famous family members, Cameron is also an actor. However, he's dealt with serious drug problems that landed him in prison for 7 years.
I was just gonna take it as far as I could take it and come what may.
He was ultimately released in 2016. During his time behind bars, Douglas transformed himself by lifting weights and getting prison tattoos, according to the New York Post. By the time he got out, the Los Angeles Times reported that Douglas was a changed man and, quote, a ripped and tatted version of Kirk Douglas. It's obvious that the two men shared certain features, like their cheeky smile and dominant chin. However, Cameron's newer, bulked-up frame is now covered with ink. While plenty of other images fill up his arms, chest, and abdomen, it's hard to miss the two faces on his ribcage. One portrait is of Michael Douglas and the other is Kirk Douglas. Those tributes are definitely fitting, as the younger man adores his father and had a very special relationship with his grandfather. Despite the fact that Cameron Douglas struggled with drugs, his grandfather never gave up on him. In fact, Kirk Douglas was always willing to support his grandson, even in ways that you might not expect. Following Kirk's death in February 2020, Cameron opened up to The Hollywood Reporter about a time when he was younger and DJing in New York. Even though he didn't go on until midnight, he revealed that it didn't stop Kirk and his wife Ann from turning up to support him. The pair would usually show up after midnight. As Cameron recalled in his interview with The Hollywood Reporter, I went over to them and couldn't really even talk because the music was so loud, but that's just what they did. They always showed up for everyone in the family. He was always there, always supportive, and he believed in me. More recently, Kirk wanted Cameron to know that he was thrilled that his grandson had gotten his life back on track. Cameron told The Hollywood Reporter, "He said to me not that long ago, 'Cameron, I'm so happy to see that you're finally functioning.' That's this kind of credo among the members of our family, to be functioning, and I know that made him proud." Kirk Douglas wasn't just a loving father and grandfather, he was also an adoring great-grandfather. On December 18, 2017, Cameron Douglas welcomed a baby girl into the world, Lua Izzy Douglas, with his girlfriend, actress Vivian Tibbs. Lua was named after the elder Douglas, who was known as Izzy, so she was bound to have a bond with her great-grandfather. And indeed, Kirk and Lua formed a special relationship during the final years of the icon's life. Cameron told The Hollywood Reporter that he had moved to a place that was just 15 minutes from where his grandfather was living, which gave him the chance to spend a great deal of time with him while also taking Lua over on weekends. As Cameron recalled, just watching the bond between my daughter and grandfather was extremely special. He would light up every time she was around. When she was in the same room, all she wanted to do was either be in his lap or be the focus of his attention. Although Kirk has now passed, Cameron is determined to keep his memory alive so that he'll always be a part of Lua's life. As his daughter gets older, he plans on reminding Lua of her special connection with her great-grandfather by showing photos of the two of them together.